Okay, I hope you can see it's Marge Simpson. And the question is, if you're a creative person and you're living in a capitalist society, how do you stay creative without selling out? Hmm. Well, some people use this thing called Patreon, and I just looked at somebody who's written several books on, his topic of interest, and he makes just over 1,000 a month from that. And I'm thinking to myself, that's not enough to survive on. So maybe he teaches classes or something else. I don't know. Mrs. Simpson might say maybe just go get a regular Joe job and, fill in the blanks, use up your 8 hours a day and another, say, an hour and a half for travel. So, 9.5 hours to, I guess you got a lunch half an hour or whatever and some coffee breaks. But basically, if you do go down that road, you don't have a lot of free time for creativity. I guess you could, if it's a day job, you could use a few hours in the evening to do your work, or if you're not much of a sleeper, maybe in the middle of the night. To us, it seems like a conundrum, a Kobayashi Maru. How do you jump out of, you know, where you are into some place where you're thriving? Every metaphysical teaching that says you do this or do that, or you do this or you do that, mm, I throw them all away. Throw them all away. Everything that you've learned, throw it all away. That's garbage. Everything. Everything that you learned up till 2 seconds ago, before my video, let's say, throw it all away. It's garbage. It's so much garbage. I'm every day I'm shocked and flabbergasted at the number of people that profess this is the way that things are and it's going to work for you, and the number of advertisements of people that, I'm going to get you on my team, I'm going to get you involved in this and that and the next thing. It's Dragon's Den and Shark Tank over and over and over and over again. It's endless capitalism. It's endless. This one I was just looking at, basically said if you support more on my Patreon, will it allow me to hire a team? Well, those individuals, maybe they don't need to be on your team. Maybe they all want to be doing their own individual thing. Maybe they don't need a big group think. Or maybe there's some that are. I don't know. I don't see myself much as a group person, although sometimes I do group things. Marge Simpson says, "You folks out there in comedy land always get all worked up about how you're gonna make it work, and all you gotta do is get up out of bed and march on down to the comedy club and get up on stage and see what comes out of your yip." Thank you, Marge. You're welcome. Okay, and so in conclusion, I don't think I gave you an answer. And that is continuing my previous lectures that you have to allow for serendipity and synchronicity to create your reality. And it means, if you want to go and write down everything in your head and put it on a piece of paper, go ahead and do it. Do it. Your Pindar there. And, if it doesn't happen that way, well, it wasn't meant to happen that way. You were just meant to get it jot down on a piece of paper, and maybe you'll look back at it in 12 years and say, oh, this is what I was thinking. Is it still of use? Or maybe it's just a memento thing. So I guess it's letting go of judgment, whatever. And it's very difficult because you're coming from a society that judges you so severely against everyone else, constantly being judged. constantly feeling it inside. It's like, oh, well, I was the top student in my school and I was expected to be, you know, something enormous. And lo and behold, I'm, just an average Joe kind of thing. And, so when I see people from my high school, I'm going to hide because I don't want to tell them what I'm up to. It's judgment. It's judgment, and we come from a society that judges you. Terrible, terrible ego, ego, ego. The towers of power of electricity of the ego, Mr. Stuart Wilde used to say. They will judge you because their ego is so high up in a tower looking down at you. Don't pay attention to egoic twits. Don't pay attention to them, and you will invariably run into them. You have to deal with them as you deal with them. Somebody always said, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. And, the late, great Wayne Dyer said, despite your wonderful opinion, I have to throw away your opinion and go with me. Thank you for your kind opinion, Wayne Dyer used to say. Thank you for your kind opinion. I know it's well considered and everything, but thank you very much. And then walk away and do your own thing. Go read Wayne Dyer, He's very good. So, what have I told you? Moment to moment, stay moment to moment. Don't get wrapped up in massive plans of action. Breathe. My guides always say if I'm sitting here and they think I should do something, they just say, move your fleep. It means move your feet. We call it fleep. Move your fleep. And so I get up and I move my fleep and I see where they're going to take me. And I don't know where I'm going to go. I don't know. I'm not telling my fleep where to go. And that's how I do it. So that's my advice. Get up and start walking without a goal where you're going to go and see where your fleet take you. And watch for synchronicities and serendipities. In other words, see what's there. If a lot of times for me, I have to go to the bathroom when I'm driving around and I'll pop into a bar because I have to use the bathroom. And when I'm going to the bathroom, I look at what people are wearing. I look for messages on t-shirts, on hats. I look at the TV screens in the moment to see, what's on the television. It could be an advertisement. It could be a sports team. It could be a number that a player on a sports team is wearing. I always look for numbers because, you can take the number and you can go onto the symbology, angel numbers on Google and see what the number means. Because if there are angels, play the game that there's angels trying to send you messages and you just see what numbers there are, put them into your smartphone and see what the symbology of it is, the angel number symbology of it is. If you see animals, last night I saw deer, so I went on to Google and I looked up what a deer mean. And you put symbology behind whatever you see and file it away in your little noggin. And then, late at night or first thing in the morning, for me it's automatic, but maybe for you, you have to have a little thing by the side of your bed and say, okay, we're going to spend some time reviewing what I saw last night and just try and remember what you saw. See what comes up. It happens automatically for me because I've been doing this kind of stuff for decades and decades. But when I first started out, it had to be more mental. It had to be more, I'm going to go pick up a Carlos Castaneda book and I'm going to start reading it. I had to build a lot of reading of other people's stuff. Had to get in my noggin. And that's, the way that maybe you're a different kind of person, but for me, that's how it all started out. And then I had to go and try it. It's one thing to read it, but if you're going to continue to do your Joe job and never apply anything that you read, then, why bother reading? You have to actually take what you've read And maybe it's not going to work out for you, but at least you can say, well, I tried it and it's bullshit, or I tried it and it worked a little bit, or this is great. But, if it works for somebody else, it doesn't mean it's going to work for you, and vice versa. You have to take it personally. All of the stuff that comes to you, you have to take it personally. You can't ride on the back of somebody else. Sure, somebody else wrote the book for you. You're standing on the shoulder of that giant. But, if you don't apply what you read, you know, maybe you have to wait until you're 80 years old and, you're 80 and you start thinking about this thing or something. I don't know. But, you know, for me, you have to, it just comes, it just comes. You just take what comes. I think I'm done my lecture. Thank you for coming over, Mrs. Simpson.